Hello everybody, it's Bourbon Bill, and tonight, a very sad episode. Finally got my hands on this bottle, and we're going to finally address the sad news from Heaven Hill. That's right. It's Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Batch B523. So, sorry this one's late. PA hasn't even released these yet. Okay, has not. I got this from someone who was out of state on vacation. So, I know I'm late on this one. Sorry, guys. Normally, PA is on time for these. This year, PA is just crap with any kind of allocated releases for whatever reason. Now, the big controversy around this bottle is right here on the front label. Age, 11 years and 5 months. That's right. They've dropped the 12-year age statement. The side labels, are different now. This one used to say age 12 years right here on the side. Now we don't get that anymore. Do not get that anymore. So, I've had a few pours out of this, kind of let it open up to give it a better judge for you tonight. Early reviews that I've heard on this have been kind of bad. I haven't heard too many good reviews. Most people are like, it's terrible, skip it, worst one ever, kind of reviews. Well, we'll find out if I believe that or not. But for those that care, this one comes in at 124.2 proof, compute 62.1% alcohol by volume. So, not the hottest, for sure. The age, little bit lower. Now, that doesn't mean all of this is 11 year, 5 month. It just means that's the lowest age, in the blend here. Is that a bad thing? Is 7 months really going to make a difference? Probably not. But what does make a difference is Heaven Hill is dropping their commitment to high age juice in here. And I think that is something we should worry about. Because we know Heaven Hill has plenty of age stock. Heaven Hill 17. Heaven Hill 20, that was corn whiskey, but still, Heaven Hill has plenty of age stocks on hand. So the fact that they're no longer committing to using something older than the 12-year should be a little scary. Because most of their single barrel store picks are in like the 8, 9, maybe 10-year range. I've seen some as high as 11, I believe, but the majority anymore I'm seeing are 8 and 9s. And the price on them is 90, sometimes 100, sometimes 85 in there. So the price is creeping up. When these do release in PA, the price will have gone up. So before they were, I believe, $64.99 a bottle for most years. They're now $69.99 a bottle. So they're up to $70 hairs here in PA now. At that price, I'm still okay with it. There's still a great value at that price. So I think for $70, unless this tastes like absolute garbage, we're going to really like it. And at $70, this is still cheaper than most of the single barrels and still packs a higher age statement. So I don't think all hope is lost. I do believe it's a little sad they're dropping the age statement. And, they made some big marketing ploy about, this way we can put older stuff in. That's great. But you don't need to give me one lower than 12 years, do you? So, without further ado, color-wise, looks the same as they all do. I can't tell the 7 months less aged in here. Can't tell. Let's give it a nosing. Smells like Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I'm getting just a ton of butterscotch, brown sugar. A little bit of that Heaven Hill nuttiness profile on here. It does come off a little sweeter. And there's a hint a little bit less oak. It's not drastically different, but it doesn't smell as oaky as other batches. I'll say that. Definitely relying on the sweeter, nutty brown sugar, butterscotch type notes. Caramel. That's delicious. Okay. For people that hated on this, you were wrong. It's not bad. Is it the best batch they've ever done? No. But for 70 doll hairs and absolute steel, on the palate I did get more oak in there, but it kind of relies just heavily on like the brown sugar, butterscotch, caramel, and then there is some oak on the back end there. It's not bad. It's maybe a little simplistic, if you could say that. Okay, Bourbon Bill's rating, A+, buy it. There's no sense not to buy this. If you like the Heaven Hill profile, this is still better than most of the single barrel store picks I've had. Now, some of those are hitters, but other ones have just been very, very much reliant on less oak. This one still packs a good oak punch on the palate, but it is just kind of brown sugar, you know, that nuttiness, maybe even a little bit of cinnamon, but it's just that traditional profile and then a little bit of oak. And I mean, you know, it's not super thick on the mouthfeel and it's not overly complex as some of the other ones are a little bit better ride. But it's not bad. I think it drinks exactly at its proof, whatever that is, 120, what did I say, 4? Maybe it drinks 125, 126, but we're splitting hairs. I think it's dang delicious and worth a buy if you can get it around MSRP. Don't be paying $100 or more for this, but still a fantastic value. So, for all those that were worried, do not fear. It's not bad. And maybe it's because I gave it time to open up. I don't know, but worth a buy. Now, let's start comparing, because that's not all. So first up on the comparison table is A123, which was one of my favorite batches they've done, at least since the 2020s and maybe ever that I've tasted. I really liked A123. Also, this relied heavily on the oak, though, and I'm a big oak hound, so may not have been for all of you. Put that here in the gold. And to recap, this one comes in at 125.6, compute 62.8% alcohol by volume. And it's missing the age statement here because it's 12 years old here on the side labels. This was the last 12-year-old one they did. So here's the A123. Let's give it a nosing. Oh, immediately better. Immediately better. We got deep dark red fruits, well-seasoned oak on here on the nose. Dials back the nuttiness, dials back that like brown sugar caramel note. I mean, that's there, but just doesn't rely nearly as much on that as it does on well-seasoned oak and some dark red fruits. Take a sip. Ah, that's phenomenal. A123 retains its A+++ rating from Bourbon Bill and a buy and back up rating. I don't give those too often, but definitely a backup if you can find an A123. That's good. Crushes the B523. So if you were a fan of A123, it's not what you're getting in the B523. So I can see how people were disappointed. Now, for those that had, like to compare B batch to B batch, how about last year's B522, which I remember liking. It wasn't my favorite. C922 is my favorite last year. This one comes in at 121 proof. Compute 60.5% alcohol by volume. Also retains a 12-year. As you can see, this one's getting a little low. So we'll see. Put it in the black. Let's give it a nosing here, see what we think. Man, this might have a more interesting nose than the B523. It definitely has more of like a red fruit note going on with the caramel and brown sugar. So it's like caramel, brown sugar, red fruit. Yeah, the B522 just feels a little bit deeper, darker, and richer. The B523 is not light, but it doesn't really have the red fruit note, and it kind of just relies on these like vanilla caramel type notes I'm getting off of the B523 here now. B522 down the hatch. Man, I've forgotten how good these are. Oh man. Yeah, probably without even tasting it back to back, the B522 is better. It doesn't have as much heat, at only 121 proof. It doesn't have as much oak. It's kind of all red fruit, caramels throughout, but just a nice crescendo of the fruit, a longer finish, thicker on the mouthfeel. B522 is quite delicious. I see why people are disappointed in it. The B523 is almost more generic profile type bourbon than what we've typically been getting from Heaven Hill Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. So I see the disappointment, but you got to remember, at 70 doll hairs or $64.99, the rest of these were a dang gift. So at 70 bucks, the B523 is not bad. It's still a good value for what you're getting, but it is not as good, I don't think, as the previous releases. Does that have to do with the younger bourbon in there? 7 months is debatable on that. I just think, I don't know. I don't know what they did. I feel like if I was Heaven Hill, right? We're sitting around the table discussing what are we going to do for this release. And we say, look, we got to make it younger because we're running out of aged stocks. Or, we don't really want to raise the price, so let's cut the age of the juice. Let's get them, And someone's like, well, you know what we should do? We'll cut the age, but we'll also make it worse than all the previous releases. I mean, what idiots? Is it worse than previous releases? Yes. Is it still good? Yes. But you think if you're going to shock the people and ruin your 12-year age statement, you would have found some killer 11-year, 5-month barrels that were like better than your average 12 and put them in, right? You would have been like, wow, people would be shocked at how good this is at a younger age. And yet, they just were too stupid to do that. And that's the sad part. That tells me that they really have no care into what they're putting into this anymore. If you're going to cut the age statement, at least do us the favor of making it really good. And you didn't. Like, you had one task, So from that standpoint, highly disappointed in Heaven Hill. F on this one, and you would flunk the class for Business and Market Development 101. You failed. Failed, boys. So, hopefully C923 makes up for it, but there was no need to do this to us in the middle of 2023. All that being said, I still think the B523 is a buy at MSRP. If you can find it, it's still good whiskey, still good bourbon, still very enjoyable, but it's just not going to live up to your memory and blind tastings of other releases. So if you like what you saw tonight, please like, comment, and most importantly, hit that subscribe button. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.